information on Los Bomberos, LA's premier Latino firemen's advocacy and philanthropic organization, you can reach them at 213-485-6900, or you can log on to www.losbomberos.com, which means the fireman in Spanish. City personnel hiring and recruitment of firefighters and police department is 213-847-LAFD, right, Chief?
Yes.
That's it. And you can also log on to www.lafd.org, which sounds like laughed. And www.wfsi.org?
Right, that's Women in the Fire Service, if they're interested in information specific to women firefighters.
Great. Okay, let's talk about what happened during the break. You guys said that there was a time when the term firefighter was considered radical, that the firemen wanted to be firemen, and that firefighters...
Well, you said firemen twice right now in your intro, and I know you didn't notice.
Oh, yeah, but that's wrong, right?
It's
that's
wrong.
Firefighter.
It's firefighter. It's firefighter.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But that's how deeply entrenched it is in terms psychologically. That's the thing that had to be overcome, which was this notion that fire and men go together, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
When I first came on the job, there were firefighters who had been on the job longer than I had been alive. I was fire commissioner in my early 30s.
That long?
Yes, and there was people who were on the fire department longer than that who refused to say that they were firefighters. I'm a fireman, and I'm always going to be a fireman. Yep. And that was the attitude, but it's changing. It's changing a lot.
Yes.
Now, we were talking a little bit about how to get people into the fire department. It's time, guys. Let's do it. Let's let them know. So you don't have to be Superman or Superwoman.
No.
You got to be in shape.
Yes.
How old do you have to be?
Yes,
18. You have to be 18 years of age.
And you have to have a GED or a high school
diploma.
Right, high school diploma.
But you've got a couple of programs going where people want to get a head start on doing it?
Right. We had this article show come out in the LA Times.
Zoom in, Ollie. Here we go. We got. And what does that say? A test of guts and strength?
Test of guts and strength. And there are programs out there now at several of our colleges where we recruit from our high schools. There's approximately 20 high schools that feed into these programs. We start them in 10th grade. We go 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And then they continue once they're in community college to take reading and math courses, which prepare them for the written exam, physical training courses, which prepare them for the physical aspects of the job.
What is
Also
the
interview
math
prep.
exam? How much algebra do you need?
No, basic math.
Just basic math.
Basic math,
If you
basic
paid
reading
attention during high
comprehension.
school and made it up, through algebra, you should be able to pass our exam. But a lot of times you're 5 years away from having been in high school, and a lot of that you just need a little refresher, a little reminder of how to do those basic mathematic.
We have preparation for the civil service interview, the oral, so we would help there.
Right.
I want to bring a little bit about physical preparedness. Armando was
there was something about that article that sort of reminded me about the training, the academic training. I mean, when at the academy, and there's some video of women washing out, and sometimes some people have used that sort of a comic, having a ladder falling on their head, or they're
that's a famous piece of terrible.
So those reflect attitudes, obviously. I think we need to talk about. I don't want to necessarily have those be things that women watching this program think, oh, look, of course, this is a male-dominated institution, and I shouldn't even try. But I think it's important to acknowledge that there is still opposition, and that those things, for example, have been used to mock women participating in the fire department.
I mean, if there wasn't opposition, I think we'd see a higher number than 2%.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, not everybody's throwing out the welcome mat.
Right.
So there are problems in terms of. In fact, part of my research paper had quoted a fire chief saying, we want women to come on the job, but they're just not interested because the men don't want them. And
Terrible.
that is a lot of attitude on a lot of fire departments. That attitude is changing. We're seeing big differences in being received and welcoming women into the fire service. But
and you said there's no height requirement.
There's no height requirement.
But you said it has to be proportionate to weight.
Weight proportionate to height, yes.
Unfortunately, fire commissioners aren't required to have.
Mr. Molina,
you're lovely to look at, delightful to know.
Delightful to know,
Mr. Molina, we've had our challenges in the past, but like Alicia has stated, we LAFD is very proactive into capturing that wider audience of pool that we have and provide better training. Really, our goal is to provide the best training to give everybody that best chance to be successful.
And regarding if there's a young person that you know who's interested in it, they should get into sports. They should start keeping. When I called you to tell you that you were on the show, you were at the gym.
Yes.
You know.
They could get into the programs that Alicia mentioned.
Absolutely.
Right in high school.
Colleges want them to register.
College.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
In high school, they
and
get
they can visit
hands-on
our fire
exposures.
stations.
Are Latinas into sports enough? Do you find, what is you're doing this?
You know, I don't know the statistics, but in visiting the schools, 25% of our program is women. At all the schools that we work at, we see women, and they're basketball players and they're soccer players, and women of all races are getting into sports more than ever, and that's probably one of the most important components, is that you need to be physical.
What worries me, I'm really concerned, is I do like volunteer work in schools, and I've been to a couple of the East Side schools, and we have a real terrible weight problem with lower socioeconomic kids that eat a lot of junk food, that aren't involved in sports programs. And we were talking about how we've got to get these kids out of this cycle. You know what I mean? It's like if you wanted to be a firefighter and you're 18 and you realize, but you know what, I've never played sports, that kid who has been in Little League or that girl who was taking ballet, they've got to jump on you.
Right.
And that's why, I'm talking to the viewers at home, if you see your child and they're interested in this, get them involved in what kind of early youth activities are good for? Is it everything? Swimming and dancing and low riding, Jim.
Especially for girls, getting them involved with things that require a bit of upper body strength is going to help them have a little bit of a jump start.
Any cardiovascular activity, basically, yes, too.
Okay, definitely. You were telling me, Alicia, that in some states, up to 14% of the department are women.
Right. Madison, Wisconsin, which is where Women in the Fire Service is based. It's actually, I think, a little bit easier in smaller towns, smaller departments where you have 80 firefighters, you hire 5 women, your numbers, are going through the roof. For us, we hire 5 women, it's not even a dent.
We have 3,000 people in our force, but the LA City Fire Department is proactively recruiting at female sports venues, and we're doing all that we can to recruit more females. Okay?
I just remember in the riots, that terrible thing we went through, that the firefighters were the ones who didn't leave the scenes. They were there, they were, being shot at.